Welcome to I Love This Thing So Frigging Much, a podcast about passion. My name is Sophie Katz, and today I am joined by Ardisia, a high school English teacher, aspiring poet, and soon-to-be doctor of education. Welcome to the show, Ardisia.
Hello.
Hello. So, here is how this works. Ardisia will have 3 minutes to talk about something that she loves. This can be a person, place, thing, concept, activity, anything she wants. Our only requirement is that she loves it wholeheartedly and wants to tell us why. Are you ready, Ardisia?
Yep.
All right. Got my timer ready? Now, what do you love so frigging much?
So the thing that I want to talk about is education and teaching. I've known about this thing my whole life, as most people go through school. But I guess what I wanted to start off by talking about is what made me want to be a teacher. I think I was 7 years old when I knew I wanted to be a teacher. When I was in first grade, I had an amazing teacher who I adored, Miss Ryback. And I loved her class so much that when I went back for second grade, I begged my mom if I could be in her class again. And I was sad when she told me I couldn't because I had to move on to a new teacher for second grade. But after I met my second grade teacher, that pretty much solidified it for me that this is what I want to do. And my second grade teacher, in my memory, she is Miss Honey from Matilda. But she was really great. She was really sweet. And after that, I just started kind of practicing. So I was that kid who would play school with her stuffed animals, and when my younger brother was old enough to play with me, I made him be one of my students. And so I was just always that weird child. And from then on, it was just me waiting until I could actually do it for real. And I don't think there's honestly anything else in this world I could do. I love working with kids. I love seeing them grow. I'm an English teacher, so I love helping kids become better writers. And it's really it's really good, and it makes me feel really full when I see a kid get better at an essay with every new assignment. That's my jam. I love teaching kids how to write essays. And then once I got more into my teacher training program, when I started college at UT, I knew even more then that I was answering my calling, because I love lesson planning. I'm super detail oriented, so I love the whole idea of planning lessons and building unit plans and curriculum plans, and I love sharing my joy of new knowledge. And like I said before, I love working with kids, and I like connecting with kids, and I like helping them see themselves, because I think that I didn't have enough of that when I was in school. And as a Black woman, it's also super important for me to help every single one of my kids feel seen, because I didn't always feel that way.
Excellent. Thank you for telling us about education and how much you love it.
Yeah, of course.
I'm curious, because you said that you are an English teacher. How did you land on that subject as opposed to all the other subjects that you could teach?
So, as a nerd, I was a kid who just liked school in general. I feel most kids, they have one particular subject that they gravitate toward, and that sometimes will dictate for them what they go on to do. But I truly enjoyed every class. But English was my favorite because I love reading and I love writing. So that was kind of what led me to being an English teacher.
English is always my favorite growing up, because that was the class that you got to read in.
Yeah. I always love getting the kids who enjoy reading.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any stories that you particularly like to recommend to your class? So when you get that reader who just has completely finished everything that you were planning on giving them?
Oh, well, as far as recommendations go, I always stick with The Great Gatsby if a student has never read that before. So I think it's a great classic. But I don't know, I always just tell kids, like, especially for the kids who don't like reading, I always tell them to pick what do you like, just start there. What are your interests? And then I'm pretty sure there's a book about it.
Definitely. Could you talk a little more about, as you're getting to the end of the 3 minutes, you mentioned the importance of helping your students feel seen. Could you talk a little more about that?
Yeah. I think sometimes, like in the public education system, it's easy for certain students to fall through the cracks. I witnessed it as a student myself in high school, and I witnessed it almost every day, as a teacher. But students who might need special education services, but they go unnoticed, or students who are sitting in a class that's too easy for them, and they're acting out because they don't know what else to do. So I just as a teacher, I really try to know my students so that I can help them succeed in whatever way that looks like for them.
That's really important. It's a good teacher at the right moments, it can really make or break someone's education.
Yeah, that's my goal. I want to be that person.
It's a wonderful thing to be. Is there anything that you don't like about education or being a teacher? And if so, how do you handle that?
Wow. So, I guess this is hard for me because I love teaching, but obviously there's a lot of things that irritate me about it because of how crappy the education system is in America. And I think that's another thing that kind of pushes me to keep doing what I do, because I know it's not good and I want to help be a part of the force that changes it. But yeah, I think that's just one thing I don't like about it is how messed up this system is. I think historically speaking, schools were made for one kind of person. They were made for white older males. And so when we started seeing schools being integrated, women started going to school, people of color started going to school, those with disabilities started going to school, and it was becoming this more diverse place, but the structure wasn't changing, and it's still existent today, and I think that's a major problem. And there are a lot of schools and individuals who are working to change that. So there are more project-based learning schools that are coming up, and there's more trauma-informed schools that are coming up, because that's another thing. On top of all of the diversity, you're also seeing a lot more students coming in to school with tons of trauma. And so it's really hard to expect a kid to sit and be focused for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, when they've got no food at home, they have no clean water, their lights don't work, they don't have a place to do homework, and all of these other things. And so that's just something that bugs me, is there's all of these things that are happening with these students, but then nothing is happening higher up to trickle down and fix those things.
I'm really glad you talked about this, because when we talk about things that we love, a lot of the times there's this idea that we need to just unconditionally love everything about it. But another part of loving something is trying to make it better.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Ardisia, thank you so much for telling us about something you love today.
You're welcome. I was happy to talk about it. I love this stuff.
Absolutely.
I love talking about education and schooling.
It's very clear from how you talk about it how much you love it. And thank you, our listeners, for tuning in today. If you would like to learn more about education or our guest Ardisia, you can find her social media information in the episode description. And don't forget to use the hashtag #LoveThisThingCast to tell us about the things you love. I Love This Thing So Frigging Much is a production of Through the Window Media. This episode was directed by Sophie A. Katz and edited by Melissa Block. You can find us at Through the Window on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or Tumblr. That is THROU the window at all those social media sites. Be good to yourself, be kind to each other, and you'll hear from us again soon.